Hello, students. Good morning, everyone. I hope within this crucial moment, we can be able to create a communicative approach within our language with each other. And I can expect from your side that you might be utilizing your best time. So, moving towards a new topic, so today we are having clauses versus phrases. Students, I think you might have heard about these two words that I recently recited, and they were clauses and phrases. If you are not acquainted with these two words, then first let me introduce these two words to you. And before moving ahead with these two words, just get acquainted with the earlier video that I sent to you, the video that was based upon sentences. In that video that was based upon sentence, we were able to understand that all the meaningful information, all the pieces of meaningful information, when they supply in an arranged way a proper meaning for something, that means we can call that arranged group of words or set of words into a sentence. The same happens with the clauses and phrases. Actually, the significant part of a sentence is subject and then its predicate. Subject means the doer in your sentence or the actions, these actions or the actions by whom the actions are being accomplished or done. And predicate means the verbs that consists of principal verbs and then your auxiliary verbs, that means your helping verbs. So with this definition, when we move ahead, then we find that whenever a sentence, if with the examples we define, then my mother is cooking the vegetable. Your subject is my mother is cooking vegetable. That is the predicate of your sentence. In that, your predicate that keeps principal verb, that means your is, and then your main verb, that means cooking. So it means when a sentence that carries a subject of itself and a predicate of itself, and the combination of this subject and predicate, that is known as a sentence. Imagine, just imagine that either your subject or your predicate, okay, one thing is missing in your sentence, but even then you can feel or you can understand, okay, the meaning of that particular thing, that particular set of words. Perhaps you will not be able to feel the entire meaning or the complete meaning of that particular set of words, but even then you can get the partial meaning of that particular phrase or sentence. When it happens, this is the difference that lies in between your clauses, in between your phrases, that we will understand. So now moving further with the image that is displayed on your screen, you can understand better with the definition that is mentioned. A clause is a part of the sentence that contains a verb. A clause is a part of the sentence that contains a verb. A typical clause consists of a subject and a predicate. The latter typically a verb, a phrase, a verb with any object or any other modifiers. Students, just we create the essence of your definition. That means if a sentence that carries its own subject and predicate, it hardly matters where it is used, in what way it is used. If your sentence is supplying subject and predicate, that means the part of subject is used over here and the part of the predicate is also used over here. When it happens in a sentence, that sentence is known, or the part of that sentence is known as the clause. But phrase is actually a small group of words that adds meaning to a sentence. That adds meaning to a sentence. A phrase is not a sentence because it is not a complete idea with a subject, verb, and predicate. It means our phrase definition is quite beyond the definition of clause. And what is the difference that lies in between clauses and phrases is only one, that a clause will carry a subject and a predicate, whereas a phrase will not carry a subject or a predicate, or else mostly you can say that it can be a subject but there will be no verb in the, or the phrases will be without verbs. If you want to understand with the easier language, then you can call, if a sentence, a group of sentence is giving full information about something, that means it is a clause. If that group of word is not giving the complete information, that means it is just a phrase, not the clause. And if we understand with the examples which are given in the clause section, in the phrase section, then just try to differentiate yourself. He must stop laughing. He, your subject, must stop. That is your predicate. They have done the job. They, your subject, have done is your predicate. But in another picture or in another section where phrases are given, the information age, earnest in her desire, much too quickly to see clearly, after a very long walk. The information age can be considered after that. Now it can be converted into a clause. It means until there is a predicate added next to your phrase, okay, it cannot be called considered as your clause. Earnest in her desire, she wants to, like, whatever that we can add after that. Much too quickly to see clearly is a thing to be done by everyone. Okay, so it means whenever there will be the phrases can be used either the subject or the object, as adjective, as noun, as adverb, but they will supply just the partial information, not as the complete information that lies in a sentence. And now with another picture which is displayed on your screen, students, quite be attentive everyone, because at this time we will have to enhance our attentiveness so that we can be able to create a grip, okay, over this quite phenomenal and quite essential topic to English language. Students, the time when we were discussing, okay, through a video about sentences, then we were talking about declarative sentences, okay, interrogative sentences, optative sentences, imperative sentences, okay. These were the classifications of your sentences as far as the structure of the sentence concerns and the flavor of sentence concerns. But when we talk about the classification of sentences as per the finite verbs used in a sentence, that means the clauses used in a sentence, like if you say Rohit is dancing, okay, this is a complete sentence, this is a declarative sentence. Mohit is dancing, this is another declarative sentence. If these two sentences are added all together, then it creates a new sentence, a new structure of sentence that will carry, a conjunction with itself. That means Rohit and Mohit is dancing. Now if this structure is considered, then it can be a declarative sentence, but it will be quite different from the earlier ones. This time we will have to understand, a different pattern of the classifications of our sentences, and they are actually simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and then compound complex sentences. A simple sentence means in that sentence there will be only one main clause, only one main clause. That means in that just one finite verb is used. There will be no another sentence that is associated with your sentence. Like if I say Rohit is dancing, this is a simple sentence because Rohit is a subject and its predicate is dancing. With that, there is no subordinate, there is no, you can call, dependent clause that has been used with this sentence. But when we talk about a compound sentence, it actually keeps two or main clauses, okay, two or main clauses, and there is no subordinate clause. Again, we will understand about the definition of subordinate clauses also and the dependent clauses also. But just understand, a compound sentence means in that two sentences and two quite free sentences, they are joined with all together, okay, and they are joined sometimes by and, sometimes by but, sometimes or, for, no, so, yet, okay, and even a comma also, okay na? Even you can use instead of comma a semicolon, okay. That means if I say Rohit is dancing and Mohit is singing, okay, these two are independent sentences, these two are quite simple sentences. If these two sentences are combined together, okay, they will be combined Rohit is dancing but, okay, dancing after that comma or semicolon, but Mohit is singing, Okay, now these two simple sentences are joined together, and now this time we have converted a simple sentence into a compound sentence where two independent sentences are joined. But when we talk about complex sentence, that means this time there will be two sentences, but one sentence will depend on another sentence to be defined. That means there will be one or two sentences in your complex sentence that will be known as dependent clauses, or you can call subordinate clauses. Like if I say, I don't know what she says, there are two sentences. I don't know. One, what she says. In the later sentence, she says, okay, has been joined with another one with a connective that is known as what. We can call it a conjunction also. But if you use what she says, okay, independently it will not give any meaning in English language. It has to depend on the preceding sentence. I don't know to be defined. So it means when a sentence that is a complete sentence, okay, having its own subject and own predicate, but independently it will not supplying any meaning. It depends upon the other one to be defined. This sentence is known as dependent clause or subordinate clause. And if a sentence that carries one independent clause or two or more dependent or subordinate clauses, that sentence is known as a complex sentence. And when with a little elaboration there are two or more main clauses and at least one subordinate clause, then that particular sentence is known as compound complex sentence, because it will be having the features of both of the sentences that we call compound one and the complex one. And now students, earlier when you were revised your sentences, then we could enhance our knowledge and we could come across that our sentences are having some more categories like complex, compound sentence, compound complex sentence. Now this time just revise a little your parts of speech also. Okay, noun, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, then your prepositions, then your conjunctions, and then your interjections. They actually define the place and the status of your word where it is used. This time to be talking and to be revising, and the reason of revising these parts of speech is only one, because now this time when we would be applying and we would be talking about our clauses, then there must be some significant parts of speech that you must be having in your mind while using the clauses and while modifying the clauses. Students, every time when you will be having your independent clause, okay, it can stand alone as a complete sentence. It doesn't need anything to be defined. So just leave aside your independent clause. Just talk and concentrate on the dependent clauses. Actually, dependent clause is a subordinate clause. It cannot stand itself, or it cannot stand alone. It needs the preceding, or it needs the earlier sentence to be defined its status, or to be defined its place. That means with the place and with the status, okay, your clauses, your subordinate clauses, your dependent clauses, they will keep shifting your parts of speech. Sometimes they will be as noun clauses, sometimes they will be as adjective clauses, and sometimes they will be as adverb clauses. Okay, don't get confused. If your sentence is working as noun, it becomes a noun clause. As adjective, it becomes an adjective clause. If it is working like an adverb, then it becomes an adverb clause. Okay? At this time, the picture that is displayed on your screen, you can understand again with the same definitions that we discussed earlier about the clauses. Okay, and if you deal with the independent clauses, okay, with more enhanced way, with the examples, you can find Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings lived in Paris for a time. Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings. Okay, up to this part of your sentence, that is known as subject, that is mentioned, okay, at the top of this sentence, and after that lived, that is a verb, that means a predicate. So it is a complete group of sentence that can be considered as independent, or you can call it principal clause also. And pay attention on sentence number 3. Socrates drank hemlock and died. There are two verbs that are used with this sentence. They are drink and died. Socrates drank hemlock and died. Students, if you disintegrate this sentence, then you will find Socrates drank hemlock. Okay, Socrates died. Socrates drank hemlock. Full stop. Socrates died. These two are the independent clauses, independent sentences. If you create a compound sentence, if you create a compound sentence, please keep paying attention. If you create a compound sentence, then this sentence will not be framed in this way. It will be framed as Socrates drank hemlock, comma, and he died. It means when both of the sentences are having their subject. In the first one, Socrates drank hemlock. Socrates is the subject, drink is the predicate. In another one, he subject and then died predicate. And these two sentences are combined with a connective and, that means a conjunction. It becomes what? It becomes a compound sentence in that both of the sentences are independent clauses. But this time in your sentence number 3 that is displayed on the screen, it is actually a complex sentence. Socrates drank hemlock and died. Your another sentence, and died, it is not supplying a complete meaning within itself. It will always depend upon the first one, upon the earlier one to be defined. So it means when a sentence or a clause depend on the previous one or the later one sentence to be defined its meaning, then it will be considered as a dependent clause. And students, always keep in your mind that whenever there will be comma, the comma will be before your coordinating conjunction. That means if you are using and, but, or, for, nor, yet, or so. But both of the sentences should be independent clauses. You can apply comma. But if your sentence is having what as your dependent clause with itself, this time comma will not be applied. That's why Socrates drank hemlock and died. But in your other sentences, like that is mentioned at the end over here, Dan wrote a research on motivation, he submitted it for publication. Then when we created a compound sentence, Dan wrote a research paper on motivation, comma, and he submitted it for publication. It means when two independent clauses are combined, then before the coordinating conjunction there will be comma. But when a dependent clause is added with an independent one, comma will not be applied. So now students, moving further with a dependent clause, okay, there are three sentences which are written on your screen. Just pay attention once on these three sentences. I know that wheat grows in Kansas. The car which rolled over the cliff was a pink Cadillac. He retired early because he had made so much money. Now just shift yourself to another picture that is getting displayed. And now to be talking about noun clauses, students, try to pay attention on that, because this time we will be picking up the first one, that is noun clauses. Your dependent clauses will be having their separate status as sometimes noun, sometimes adjective, sometimes adverb. So just think how noun clauses are framed and used in the sentences. On this screen there is a small layout is designed with two segments. At your left there is noun, at your right there is noun clause. So first get acquainted what are the nouns. In your first sentence, as a subject, his whereabouts are unknown. In this sentence your subject is whereabouts, and this subject is converted into a sentence where he lives. Now there is a subject, he lives, there is a verb, and where, that is your connective. Okay, so it means when whereabouts, that was a subject, has been converted into a complete sentence, but the place that has been decided in language for whereabouts was a subject, that means a noun. And here your sentence is working as a noun, so it becomes a noun clause. See another sentence, direct objective. I don't know that man. That is an object. At the end it is getting used and showing the impact of your subject's action. So that man, that is a direct object that has been converted into a sentence. I don't know who he is. This is actually working at the place of that man as the object. So again it becomes a noun clause. Third one is indirect object. The security officer gave the students the key. The students the key. The students are the indirect object, and this indirect object has been converted into a sentence. The security officer gave whoever wanted it the key. So whoever wanted it, wanted is your. So it means now this time this particular clause is working as the indirect object. That means it becomes a noun clause. And the last one is object of preposition. Students, when a clause is working as the object of a preposition, it means now in the sentence he isn't interested in geometry. So your geometry is what? The object, but not for the sentence, but for preposition. So this particular object of preposition has been enhanced after getting modified into a complete sentence. That means what the class is studying. He is not interested in what the class is studying. So after in, your object of this in preposition is what the class is studying. It is actually a noun clause acting as the object of your preposition. And after that, some subordinators are given, like how, that, when, where, whether, if, why, what, whatever, who, whoever, whom, whomever, whose, whosever, which, whichever. Okay, these are the what to call basic subordinators that create your noun clauses as per its status, like subject, object, object of preposition, and then your and indirect object, like. So to be talking about the adjective clauses, which are also known as who, which, that clauses. If we go with the definition, an adjective clause is a dependent clause. An adjective clause modifies a noun or pronoun. It means if in a sentence you find that this particular set of words or sentence is enhancing the quality or modifying the quality of your noun, that particular sentence will be known as the adjective clause. Like in all the examples, just concentrate yourself on first nouns. In the first one, David. The time, noun. The house, noun. The diamond ring, that is also a noun. When these nouns are getting modified, okay, with a sentence, not just a word, with a sentence. David, who has been with the company 5 years. The time when a plane arrives. The house where Lincoln lived as a young man. The diamond ring which the thief stole. So the bold sentences, they are what? They are the modifiers. They are modifying your nouns. Okay, your subject as the nouns. So it means this set of words, this sentence, this dependent clause, that is known as what? As the adjective clause. And students, when we talk about the adverb clauses, that means an adverb clause is a dependent clause. An adverb clause modifies a verb, an adjective, another adverb, or a sentence. As the words that modify your nouns and pronouns are adjectives, likewise the words that modify an adjective, a verb, and another adverb, they are considered adverbs. Adverb clauses always begin with a subordinator. The subordinator is a connecting word which explains the relationship between the adverb clause and the main clause. So it means in an adverb clause there will be a subordinator, as we were using the time when we were creating or we were talking about the adjective clauses. And that subordinator now, that will tell us, the reader, that what kind of information is added by the adverb clauses. The following subordinators are often used to begin adverb clauses, and these list of you can find out after, although, as, if, because, before, even, it, even though, as far as, since, though, unless, until, as soon as well as, whatever, whenever, wherever, whether, while. And if you want to get acquainted about the adverb clauses with more enhanced flavors, then an adverb clause can answer any of the following questions. Like if you find that these questions or that particular question is getting answered in your sentence, that will be that part will be known as an adverb clause. When, where, how, to what degree, under what condition. Now see with the further examples. Cinderella lost her shoe after the clock struck 12. When did she lose her shoe? Okay, so the question, with when has been answered after the clock struck 12. It means after the clock struck 12. The clock is the subject and struck is the verb. That means that is a sentence. Okay, it is a dependent sentence, and this clause can be considered as what? Adverb clause. Mary hid the key where no one could find it. Where did she hide it? Where no one could find it. So your answer is being done about where, and it is about an adverb because it is answering where. Okay, another one is my sister drove so fast that she got a ticket. How fast did she drive? Okay, so this is how fast is getting modified with this sentence, so it becomes an adverb clause. The bush is as high as the fence. To what degree? To what degree? As high as the fence. As high as the fence. So it means this is answering to what degree. That is also an adverb. So that clause becomes an adverb clause. The fire will burn the forest unless it rains. Under what condition? Unless it rains, it will fire, it will burn the forest. So it means under what condition is an adverb, and the question is getting answered in unless it rains, and it becomes an adverb clause. And students, to identify your adverb clause, okay, there will be the subordinators that will always be used as the first word of your adverb clause. So you can easily find out the structure and the framing of the adverb clauses. And now students, there are two more clauses which are quite minor, but you are supposed to understand and required to understand these two ones also. The first one is an essential clause, or another one is a non-essential clause. Essential means that is quite essential to your sentence. You need it to define the complete meaning of your sentence. And a non-essential means you will not need it. Okay, it is not mandatory to use that particular clause in your sentence. It is quite optional, but an essential clause is quite necessary. How? If you see with the sentence, okay, that is in the category of an essential clause, people are multilingual. I didn't actually speak the bold sentence. Okay, the bolden sentence. People are multilingual. It is what? People are multilingual. Which people are multilingual? Okay, who can speak more than one language? So now this time it becomes essential to use this particular clause, okay, to define the complete meaning of your sentence. But in the non-essential category, if you see, my cousin Michael is coming for a visit over Thanksgiving vacation. Again, okay, I skipped who lives in New York. If we don't use this particular clause, our sentence can give the complete meaning. My cousin Michael is coming for a visit over Thanksgiving vacation. Okay, but if you use additionally, my cousin Michael who lives in New York is coming for a visit over Thanksgiving vacation. Okay, it is not a crime to use that particular clause. But if you skip this clause, it can be what? A particular meaning supplied, okay, throughout the readers also. But in the previous sentence, people are multilingual. Which people are multilingual? Who can speak more than one language? So it becomes essential to use that particular clause. So this is the basic difference that lies in between essential and non-essential clauses.